Hello, my name's Simeon. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be doing a book review and I'm going to be talking about the book The Trading Game by YouTuber Gary Stevenson. Yeah, so this one's different than the kind of books I'd normally discuss on the channel. This is more like a memoir. This is something that actually happened to someone. The reason I want to discuss this one is because A, I really enjoyed it, but B, I do watch Gary's channel, Gary's Economics, and I think he's highlighting an important issue. For those of you who don't know, Gary Stevenson is an inequality economist from the UK. He made his money trading, he made millions betting on basically the downfall of society during the 2008 financial crisis, which is what a good portion of his book's about, and then went on to study at Oxford, studying wealth inequality and how that affects society. And now he is pursuing a political campaign to try and make political parties in the UK take that seriously and do something about it.
I'm going to ask you a question. If we pause the economy and give £1 trillion, £20,000 for every adult in this room and the rest of the country to the richest people in the country, and then unpause the economy, what do you think will happen to living standards for ordinary people? They will collapse.
And I'm going to be completely honest about this. I agree with Gary. I think wealth inequality is a big problem facing not just our society, but the world today. Oxfam put out a stat a while ago that 8 billionaires have as much wealth as about half of the world, the bottom 50% of the world, and I do see that as a problem. So yeah, I just wanted to say that's where I sit on this issue going in. I don't want to mislead anyone, and if you feel differently to me, I would strongly urge you to at least take a look at Gary's channel or his book, because his book is very interesting. It's quite moving in a way, and it's harrowing. So let's actually dive into the book now. Because this isn't a fantasy novel or a sci-fi novel or a horror novel like I might normally read and talk about, I'm going to adopt a similar structure but in a different way. So let's just start with the plot, bearing in mind this is a real thing that really happened to Gary Stevenson. So Gary grew up in Ilford in London in a poor community. He didn't have much money, but he grew up looking at these big looming towers from the London financial institutes where bankers and traders make millions of pounds a year, and dreaming of one day being in those towers and being wealthy. And he did it. He got into the London School of Economics. He managed to get a job at Citibank by winning a card game called The Trading Game. And that's one of the first things that really stuck out to me in the book, is that Gary wasn't part of the right class to get a job at the bank. So it didn't matter how good of a student he was at LSE, the London School of Economics, he could not get into the bank because he didn't know the right people. He didn't know the right way to act, the right way to dress, the right way to do things to get that kind of job. So he used the trading game to get in, and he got in by his own admission by basically working out how to cheat at the trading game, how to use an exploit. And that kind of moral ruthlessness to get ahead is a theme we see throughout the book. Anyway, fast forward and we meet some of the traders Gary's working with, who are a pretty eccentric bunch. Gary has no idea how to trade and no one seems that interested in teaching him, but eventually he figures it out, and eventually he makes millions and millions of pounds and becomes the most successful trader at the bank by betting on that after the 2008 financial crisis things will not stabilise, things will stay bad. So he's basically betting on the economy being bad forever, despite all the economists saying that's not going to happen, and he's proven right, and he just continues to rake in money. At the same time, he's still connected to his family and friends back in Ilford, and life isn't going so well for them. Some of them are losing their homes, some of them are becoming drug dealers, and he starts to have an internal moral crisis that he doesn't even realise but physically manifests within him. He starts losing weight, becoming more antisocial. He refuses to spend the money he's earned on anything nice for himself. He just sleeps on the sofa. He won't buy himself nice food, nice clothes, nice anything. He just becomes kind of a work zombie. All he wants to do is work and make more money, and he can't even explain why. Now, the prose is very interesting in this because if you've listened to Gary speak, he's charismatic and energetic and kind of unique in the way he puts things, and the book is written very much in his voice. I think it almost puts it in literary territory, and I like the way he describes things. I'll read a quick passage to you just so you can get a flavour of Gary's voice. This is about the job, isn't it? You hate that job. Why don't you just quit? She didn't understand. Inside of me were $29 million, and each one screaming, you can't quit. There's real feeling in this book, and to be honest, the most entertaining part of this for me was watching Gary's physical deterioration and hoping that he would realise that this was to do with his job and find a way out of it, and watching that all unfold. It was very interesting to me that the morality of making millions of dollars trading affected Gary in a way that didn't affect the other traders, and I'm guessing that's because of his upbringing. He had seen and felt poverty in a way the others hadn't, and he just couldn't turn a blind eye to it in the way they could. And to me, it speaks of someone who has a moral core to themselves, even when they don't want to, even when they're trying their absolute best to just forget about it, fit in with the traders, make their money. Once you've made your money, you can do whatever you want, everything will be okay, but they can't get rid of that moral core, that feeling inside them, and it starts to manifest physically. The book's not just set in London. Gary gets to travel around the world and lives in Japan for an extended period. I won't spoil the ending for you, but hopefully that gives you enough of a flavour to determine if you might want to read it. I could talk about characters. It's interesting because the characters are real people. They're not even based on real people. They are just real people. The traders are a very eccentric, wild bunch who spend their whole day looking at screens, but then go out to lunches and drink incredible amounts, or behave inappropriately with women, or have just aggressive kind of wannabe alpha male outbursts on the trading floor. It's kind of like real repressed behaviour that seems to just leak out at times. Gary also gives fond and honest depictions of people. He doesn't hide their foibles and their quirks, and quite often you get the impression that that's what he likes about them. He's also very honest and self-deprecating about himself, which I like. The central theme of the novel, I think, is the opposite of Gordon Gekko. Greed is bad. It eats away at you. It can't be the only thing you base your life around. And apart from that, Gary's political message of we need to recognise what's happening to the economy, and if we don't stop wealth inequality, things will just keep getting worse. If you're interested in that, I would go to his channel because he can explain it a hell of a lot better than I can. But hopefully, if that is something that interests you, you might be inspired to check out his content or read his book. If you're skeptical about that, if you don't think it's a problem, I would still recommend you check out his channel, see what he has to say. There's nothing wrong with being able to listen to a contrasting idea to our own, hold it in our head, and then dismiss it or incorporate it depending on how valid you feel it is. I'd also say his book makes a very interesting read, even if you are skeptical of his political ideas. So that's it for this one. I forgot to say at the top, this book's been a Times bestseller for about 10 weeks now in the UK, so that's another reason I wanted to review it. Thank you for watching. Please do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.